You strong.
Under the sweltering sun, 20-year-old Kim SeoJoon, born pseudo-Awakener, is diligently working. He carried the pile of monsters on his shoulders, thinking as he walked, I am a born Awakener, born with strength stronger than humans, but in order to pay off my parents' debt, the two of them died in a mysterious accident. Hidden, I have been working as a transporter for hunting monsters for 9 years. There is only one thing for a person to endure the harsh work and pressure of debt. Kim SeoJoon struggled to wipe away his sweat and then thought about his dream of becoming a professional hunter. During break time, some colleagues gave him a can of water and asked, Hey, SeoJoon, how are you saving money to become a hunter? Hearing that, he immediately replied, I'm looking for cheap but good hunter academies. They said startled, Hunter Academy. Seeing that, the two uncles immediately started talking to each other. Isn't it true that a hunter is something that can be done if you just wake up? Created, now I have to go to the Hunter Academy to pass the exam. Kim SeoJoon drank water and thought, he was right, most of the professors at the academy were active hunters, because there were real hunters teaching experiences and secrets that normally had to be risky. New life learned. Thanks to that, the 30th Hunter Academy broke the record for the number of candidates passing the exam, and a huge gap between the educated and the uneducated was created. An era where you had to enter the Hunter Academy to becoming a hunter has arrived. After reading it, Kim SeoJoon smiled and thought to herself, besides, I am finally here. After a while, he opened his account balance to look at it and muttered, I've also managed to save enough money to study for a year at the Hunter Academy. Kim SeoJoon was extremely happy. He kept looking at his phone and smiling and thinking, I really want to go to a better academy, but it's too expensive and this place isn't that bad. Suddenly, Kim SeoJoon saw a notification. He wondered, what is this? An advertisement. The title of the Supreme Academy advertisement. The Supreme Academy message. The link to the introduction video. Seeing that, I immediately thought curiously, Supreme Academy, this is the first time I've heard of them. Then he clicked on the link, immediately saw a promotional video about that academy. The model of fake transcendence is changing. The transcendence fad is taking the universe by storm. A collection of experience and knowledge from expert professors tens of thousands of years old, customizing individual exercises suitable for each student. Interviewing a student who passed the level 9 swordsman competition. I enrolled without any expectations, but in the end it was the best decision I made. Then came the interview with a student who passed the level 5 Ascension Sane exam, thanking the academy, the Supreme Academy. Then the music at the end of the video begins to play. The legend of those who pass the exam will continue to exist at the Supreme Academy. If you want to become transcendent, enroll now. My life has improved thanks to learning Supreme Academy. My life changed after entering the Supreme Academy. After the video ends, it turns off. After watching, Kim SeoJoon was still shocked. He muttered in his head, what the hell is that advertisement? Moments later, Kim SeoJoon went to the Academy's website, frowned and said, the Academy's website was no different from other hunter academies. What was the strange professor's name? And he found it. It was a pretty cool thing, so I forced myself to say, Great Saint Chi Tien, I'll try this out. Meanwhile, he immediately turned on the video and couldn't help but burst out laughing. Hello, I am Chi Tien Great Saint, but my real name is Tun Ngo Kong. My main weapon is a wish-fulfilling stick. Sticks and spears are not very different. After watching, Kim SeoJoon commented that the lecture was quite normal in terms of concepts. The person in the video said, if you just explain it, it's hard to understand. Let me show you. First, he holds the stick outward, then he stretches his hand a few times to demonstrate, then rotates the stick inward, grips, and finally, stabs the opponent at a single point. Suddenly, Kim SeoJoon suddenly stood up and said, what is that? The mountain has disappeared. Seeing that, he immediately angrily said loudly, is this something you put together? It doesn't look real at all. Even an S-class hunter couldn't do this. Then the system immediately pops up a request. Do you want to register to study this lecture? If you study this lecture, you will receive the DGP of the Great Saint S. For a moment, Kim SeoJoon hesitated and thought. Soon, he decided to press the registration button even though he didn't know why Kim SeoJoon made that decision. Then the system sends a series of notifications. If you want to register an account, you will be sent an invoice to calculate the membership registration fee. Your registration fee is being calculated by considering your cause and effect relationship. Kim SeoJoon frowned and said, just creating an account costs money. What about this cause and effect calculation? Then the system immediately sent another notification. The membership registration fee is 40,000 USD. After registration, the lecture fee may fluctuate depending on your circumstances. Seeing that, Kim SeoJoon immediately tried to look back a few times, afraid that he was just dizzy. Let's see, 40,000. After reading it, he immediately shouted, "Damn the scammers. Uncle Manchol just talked to me and asked, are you going to enroll in the academy?" Uncle Manchol then put the beast on his back and gently asked, "No wonder you look happy, where did you enroll?" Hearing that, Kim SeoJoon replied, "Arc Hunter Academy, I heard they have good teachers." After saying that, I joked with him, "Don't forget me when you're famous." Kim SeoJoon also happily replied, "Of course, do you want me to deal with the monsters I caught?" He replied excitedly, "Listen, you finally have a chance to deal with a dragon." Kim SeoJoon felt happy and immediately followed Uncle Mishul. Not only the dragon, he also let him play soccer with the zombie's head. After a while, Kim SeoJoon thought, someone once said this, life is a comedy when seen from the big picture, but a tragedy when seen up close, and one thing no one expected was the chain that tied the beast. It broke, causing it to fall and hit him straight. Sitting on the hospital bed, Kim SeoJoon thought absently, so to be able to smile, you must be able to endure pain. He immediately remembered what happened just now. The doctor said, the nerves in his legs were gradually necrosing. It seemed that the broken bone fragments were entangled with the nerves as they healed, because he recovered quickly. More than ordinary people, one is to wake up. Your boss saw that and immediately said, "What compensation for occupational accidents? It's still late. What do you think my nephew and I's reputation will be like if we are rumored to have had an accident? What happened to our company?" Then suddenly Uncle Manchol came to give me the hospital fee and said, "The surgery fee is $40,000. You need to have surgery as soon as possible. The longer you delay, the more your nerves will suffer. Stick firmly to the bone and the consequences will be irreversible. Take it away. That's why you need to be able to look far into the future." Kim SeoJoon clutched the money envelope in his hand. He thought absent-mindedly, "So I looked towards the future while enduring for 9 years." Kim SeoJoon was angry, clenched his fist even tighter. He muttered, "All the money I saved was used for the surgery, and now, I only have $3,000 left that Uncle Manchol gave me. Can I start over again?" Kim SeoJoon thought vaguely, and suddenly his phone rang. He accidentally looked at his phone and immediately saw the following information: past transcendent prices are always low, special discount event for new students. If you register today, you will get free lessons. Kim SeoJoon seeing that, he suddenly said, "Isn't this the Supreme Academy's website?" After that, he picked up his phone and scrolled through it, thinking, I couldn't find it again after that day. Then the system immediately sends a notification. Your registration fee is being calculated by reminding your cause and effect relationship. The membership registration fee is $300. After registration, the lecture fee may fluctuate depending on your needs. In your situation, seeing that, he suddenly became curious and asked himself, $300, wasn't it $40,000 last time? Kim SeoJoon suddenly thought, now that I think about it, I only had $40,000 at that time. Did he want to take all the money I had? Seeing that, Kim SeoJoon excitedly thought, why should I try to register? Then he said, I don't have any money in my account anyway. As soon as he finished speaking, the system immediately confirmed the registration, then the money in the envelope flew out in some magical way. When Kim SeoJoon saw this, he was extremely startled and said in fear, the money was flying out of the envelope. Packaging. Then the system displays a notification, congratulating you on becoming a member of the Supreme Academy. Suddenly from his phone, Mentor appeared, startling him and saying, what's going on? Kim SeoJoon was still surprised and said in panic, a person came out from his phone. Then he suddenly said, nice to meet you, then asked him, are you Kim SeoJoon? Mentor then continued, I'm the advisor in charge of teaching you the basics. Kim SeoJoon muttered in a daze, is my head injured too? He smiled excitedly and said his name, Mentor. A moment later, when Kim SeoJoon calmed down, he opened his mouth and asked, so? You said, your advisor's name is Mentor. You jumped up and explained, I, Mentor, am your advisor. Seeing that Kim SeoJoon still didn't seem to understand, he happily said again, your advisor is me, Mentor, my name is Mentor. Then Kim SeoJoon suddenly said, could it be, you are the advisor I know? Seeing Odysseus, Mentor replied in surprise, oh, so you know me. Mentor crossed his arms and floated. He proudly said, Odysseus was the first student I was in charge of. He became a pseudo-transcendent a long time ago, but still contacted me from time to time. Kim SeoJoon was about to move his lips but stopped. Think, what? Mentor then coughed a few times and seriously said, by the way, our Ultimate Academy is an academy whose teachers are people who always want to surpass the limits of their race. Hearing that, Kim SeoJoon was startled and asked, wait, is this an academy for transcendents, not for hunters? Mentor then laughed and replied, how can you compare a transcendent faker with a hunter? they are on a completely different level. It seemed like Kim SeoJoon still couldn't accept this harsh truth, waving his hands and saying, "But that's an S-class hunter." Before he could finish his sentence, Mentor brought the phone close to his face and said, "Our teachers can take down hunters with just their fingers, but have you filled this in yet?" Kim SeoJoon read the information sheet that Mentor gave, surveyed to create a bachelor's course for new students. Question 1: Choose the field in which you want to excel. 1. Combat, 2. Production, 3. Medicine, 4. Intelligence, 5. Arts, 6. Other fields. Of course, Kim SeoJoon didn't understand what he was reading. He scratched his head and asked Mentor. When he heard that, he immediately explained, "This is for us to know what kind of transcendent person he wants to become, as well as to confirm his current abilities and tendencies. Now, as I said, it's a survey." Mentor then continued, "In order to give him the best guidance, please answer truthfully." Then he immediately chose a battle, while Kim SeoJoon thought, "What will happen now?" Seeing that Kim SeoJoon was confused with the system, Mentor immediately flew to his side and asked if there was a problem. Kim SeoJoon rubbed his head and said, I don't know what to choose for the second question." The system immediately displayed a question, Super Aptitude Test. Question 2, please choose your current skill level. 1 is close to transcendence, but still missing about 2%. 2, you are already the strongest person right now, but you are not the strongest person in history. 3, you can turn a large plane into a field with one blow punch with all your might. 4, you can easily split a large mountain in half with one strike. 5, maybe not a huge mountain, but you can lift one. Seeing that, Mentor smiled and said, Many people are hesitant here, just choose this one that accurately describes what you can do." Then he naively asked Mentor, "Can you plow a large plane into a field with a full punch?" He pretended to answer, "No." Then Kim SeoJoon asked again, "What about splitting a mountain in half?" "As big as a blow," he happily posed and replied, "Not always, but I can climb it." Then he turned to ask Kim SeoJoon, "Does that mean you can't lift a mountain?" Kim SeoJoon frowned and said, "Wouldn't it be more strange if I could do something like that?" Seeing Kim SeoJoon keep rubbing his head, Mentor thought, "How could he enroll in our academy? He is too ordinary." A moment later, Mentor immediately winked and reassured Kim SeoJoon, It's okay, don't worry too much, the Ultimate Academy will never kick out members. Once a member, it's a lifetime membership, now answer. Come on." After completing, Mentor immediately applauded and rewarded him, "Very good," while Kim SeoJoon was very tired, whispering, "Why are there 108 questions?" Then Mentor flew up to him and said, "You can study for free, let me recommend a few lectures for you, but after we analyze your profile, we will talk about the rest later." Kim SeoJoon had a headache right away. Hastily replied, "Okay." A moment later, Mentor rubbed his chin and muttered to himself, "So his favorite way of fighting is spearmanship. For spearmanship, instead of cultivating mana, it would be more suitable to practice polite oriental weaponry. Teaching member Chi Tian Dai Sheng is very good at texts, but since you can't even lift a mountain, it's too advanced. Well, I think one of these lectures is best for you to learn for free." Then the system immediately appeared with updated information. Once the spirit collapses, physical ability becomes useless. Teacher Siddhartha Gautama, mandatory introductory course for transcendent fighters. Teacher Chiron capsule. To Kim SeoJoon's surprise, Mentor continued to suggest, "Not only were you injured, but you were also mentally challenged, right? Why don't you start by taking lessons from teacher Siddhartha Gautama?" Hearing that, Kim SeoJoon shouted, "Are you talking about Buddha?" Mentor replied, "Yes, he said he wasn't, but all the students called him Buddha." Mentor then proudly told that teacher Siddhartha Gautama is one of the famous teachers for spiritual teachings, a mandatory subject in the transcendental competition. It is a teaching that would have cost a lot of money to learn, but he was determined to save poor souls. Hearing that, he was scared and thought, "What the hell?" Then the system pops up again with a request, "Do you want to register for this lecture? When you complete this lecture, you will receive steadfastness without moving your mind, SSS." He thought curiously, steadfastness without moving your mind. Then Mentor continued, "That is why teacher Gautama's lecture is considered necessary. As long as he is steadfast and unmoved, he can learn most fields." Mentor playfully raised a like and said, "So even though he felt like he was going to lose his mind, he needed to watch the entire lecture." Kim SeoJoon heard that and immediately shouted, "What, lost your mind? What do you mean?" He smiled and replied, "You will understand when you learn it. I will contact you again after I finish analyzing your profile." With that, Mentor disappeared, leaving a bewildered Kim SeoJoon alone here. Then he negotiated with himself, "Well, let's see how it goes." As soon as he opened the video, he heard Buddha's voice. "Where do you think this world exists?" Kim SeoJoon curiously asked, "Is he really a Buddha? He looks like a living golden statue. And breathe." Then Buddha slowly continued, since I do not exist, therefore, I do not exist. Putting aside his previous thoughts, Kim SeoJoon thought, but more importantly, this lecture is too difficult. If there is nothing to compare it to, how can an indefinable being exist? Then he thought about what he said earlier. Is this what the mentor was talking about? Is that why I wish you luck? The Buddha continued, so this world and this universe were created together. Time with your birth, and it perishes at the same time as your death. You do not exist, you are simply the world. After listening for a while, Kim SeoJoon thought lazily, feeling like he was about to lose his mind. After a while, the system appeared, the lecture progress was 0.006%, and Kim SeoJoon was like a lost soul struggling to lie on the hospital bed after watching the lecture. A week later, when Kim SeoJoon was re-examined, the doctor praised him a few words. His recovery speed was extraordinary. I knew he was a fake awakening, but this was the first time I had seen such a thing in my life. 30 years as a doctor. Hearing that, Kim SeoJoon happily thought, I'm not imagining things. Then a moment later, he picked up the phone and thought about that lecture. Thanks to Siddhartha Gautama's lecture, my mind felt calm, so I recovered faster, even though I felt like I was about to lose my mind every time I listened to it. I have only completed 1.3% of this lecture, but it has been so effective. The doctor continued, he couldn't be sure, maybe he should stay in the hospital for another week, while Kim SeoJoon thought, wondering what it would be like when he reached 100%. Then he smiled and replied to the doctor, okay, that's fine with me. Kim SeoJoon thought to himself, Supreme Academy, it's the real deal. For a moment, Kim SeoJoon scrolled through the lecture and thought, now that I can move my body, why don't I try Chiron's lecture as well? Having said that, Kim SeoJoon lay on the hospital bed watching the video. He muttered in his mind, Level A reincarnation, it is lower than steadfastness, but Level A does not mean a poor skill. For a moment he remembered Mentor's words and thought, perhaps only being steadfast and unmoved could be as terrible as that. Suddenly Chiron appeared and said, nice to meet you, my name is Chiron. The system then introduces this person, Chiron. He is a centaur with the upper half being a human and the lower half being a horse. Hercules, Theseus, Achilles, Jason, etc. He is the vision of most of the heroes in the game. Greek mythology. Then the hero Chiron's teacher says, the goal of the lecture is to prepare students to enter a state where they can enter the first realm of transcendence. Please note that fighting techniques will not be taught in depth in the course study this. Hearing that, Kim SeoJoon lay down and thought, it was a real Chiron. Actually, I was no longer surprised. Chiron coughed a few times and said, now, the first step to becoming a fake transcendental person. After talking for a while, he stopped, making Kim SeoJoon quite curious. Then suddenly Chiron shouted loudly at his phone screen, stood up and immediately corrected that demon. A loud voice seemed to pierce Kim SeoJoon's thoughts. He suddenly jumped in shock and dropped the phone. Chiron shouted, get to work now, you bastard, causing Kim SeoJoon to startle and scream, you ack. After a while, he lay struggling on the ground, vaguely not knowing what the hell had just happened. Then the system displays a new notification. There is a personal daily task. After calculating the student's current level, an appropriate task will be assigned. Running 30 kilometers, 0 kilos. Kilometers over 30 kilometers, squats 1000 times, 0 over 1000, push-ups 300 times, 0 over 100, sit-ups 300 times, 0 over 300, pull-ups 150 times, 0 over 150. Seeing that, Kim SeoJoon immediately scratched his head and said, the tasks and levels of these tasks they gave me seem to be more difficult than the usual threshold, so I'm not One Punch Man. He suddenly remembered the doctor's advice, don't work too hard this week, then hesitated and thought, that's not to mention that the doctor probably said something like that. After that, Kim SeoJoon yawned, dialed the phone and said to herself, for now, I'll just listen to the lectures and when I'm better I'll do the proper work later, skip it, move on to the next lesson. At the same time, the system also displays a notification, there are unfinished tasks, please complete your tasks. Just when she saw the notification, Kim SeoJoon suddenly froze as she pressed the phone screen but the system still showed up, there are unfinished tasks, please complete your tasks. There are unfinished tasks, please complete your tasks, there are unfinished tasks, please complete your tasks, there are unfinished tasks, please complete your tasks. After a while groping around, Kim SeoJoon couldn't click through. He was surprised by this so he shouted, how the hell did he know he hadn't finished the task? Then a moment later, Kim SeoJoon was helpless and could only sit still and sigh. He thought to himself, I can't help it, it's only for 1 week, why make it so difficult for myself? After that, Kim SeoJoon went to find another lecture to study. I should listen to Professor Gautama's lecture first, but then he accidentally saw something. Kata, time until completion of your freedom, 83 days. Kim SeoJoon smiled bitterly, running in the park and thinking, there's also an expiration date. But then Kim SeoJoon could only sigh and say, well, the Ultimate Academy is also a school, so it makes sense to set limits for the students. A moment later, when Kim SeoJoon was stretching his thigh muscles, he suddenly muttered, the remaining time is 83 days, at the beginning it was probably 90 days, 3 months, right? But then when I remembered the previous lessons, I had already studied, but the progress bar was still the same. The lecture progress was 1.3%, I had studied, but my progress had not increased at all. Kim SeoJoon again, I thought, I really don't know how this academy works. I will probably have to completely absorb all the knowledge in the lectures and achieve a certain level of understanding for my learning progress to increase. After that, I played the same lecture over and over again. I took Professor Gautama's course for a whole week, but my progress was still at that modest 1.3% level. Kim SeoJoon sighed and thought, I continued. I really don't have the confidence to complete the 83-day course. Kim SeoJoon stopped thinking, he rolled his shoulders and said to himself, completing freedom means it's just a test, right? It's been a long time since I've exercised. Then Kim SeoJoon thought, more accurately, I haven't had any reason to exercise until now, and yet, all I've done for the past 9 years is carry monsters that hunters professionals have attacked that. After thinking for a while, he lay down with his hands on the ground and said, push up first, 1, 2. But in this situation, I couldn't forget those hard-working days. Because the monster corpses I had to carry often weighed up to 70 kilograms, I didn't feel the need to exercise anymore. A moment later, Kim SeoJoon's whole body was covered in sweat. He thought again, even though he still doesn't know how to use mana, I'm still a fake awakened person. I have a lot of faith in this solid body. 300, Kim SeoJoon said. He lazily brushed his hands and stood up to wipe the sweat from his forehead. Kim SeoJoon looked at the phone tiredly and proudly said, before, I still had to carry 9 years over there. What's the point of this? Now, to continuing this atmosphere, the next exercise will be. Having finished speaking, Kim SeoJoon looked at his phone and was startled when he saw that the new index was 81 out of 300. Kim SeoJoon froze. He scratched his head in confusion and wondered why he only counted 81 instead of 30. After that, he immediately did push-ups, then did push-ups again for quite a while, but the system only updated to 82 out of 300. Immediately, he fell into deep thought, not knowing what to say. Then Kim SeoJoon continued to practice, swinging the bar, doing push-ups while talking, not doing the correct posture, meaning not doing the right posture, doing push-ups. 300 times, it doesn't mean it doesn't come, it means counting. Crunches 300 times 300 over 300, always. Squat 1000 times 1000 over 1000, hold suction, it means nothing. How is that possible? Running 30 kilometers, 30 out of 30. At night, he struggled to lie down in the middle of the street, screaming loudly, "Arg, I'm crazy, I can't do it anymore, I won't do it anymore." Seeing that, passers-by could only shake their heads in disapproval and say to themselves, "This young man, TSK, Mom, that guy is messing around on the ground. Shh, stop looking at him." Kim SeoJoon helplessly cried and shouted, "I have to do this every day, so when should I listen to the lecture?" Seeing that, he said, "That's your job, huh?" A few days later, an old lady saw him in the hospital and said, "Oh my God, boy, why does your body look so much better? Are you going to exercise again?" Hearing that, he immediately replied, "Oh yes, how are you guys doing?" Seeing him say that, the old woman immediately applauded him. "Oh my God, you are really hardworking, very hardworking, such a good youth." A moment later, he heard the news announcing the latest news. Around 5 a.m. this morning, the 4-star monster behemoth suddenly appeared in the inner city of Seoul. The Federation said that this behemoth was in a state of deep sleep. It was determined that the monster body transport service did not know about this, and transported the monster into the inner city. As soon as it woke up, this could have been fatal. However, by chance, a fake Awakener nearby arrived and prevented any deaths from taking place. This fake Awakener was a cadet at Gaon Academy. Thanks to the influence of level 5 hunter Jung Hun Young, Gaon Academy taught. After listening for a while, the old woman asked him again, "Did those hunters save other people's lives?" Before he could answer, the old woman continued, "They are truly great people, ah." After remembering what she was about to say, the old woman asked him, "Now that I think about it, I remember, young man, didn't you say you were also a false awakener?" Hearing that, Kim SeoJoon replied in the slightest. The old woman, "Yes, that's right." Then the old woman asked again, "So young man, are you a hunter?" can you be shown on TV like that again? Then the old woman held Kim SeoJoon's hand and shook it. This made him quite confused, not knowing how to answer. That. Meanwhile, suddenly a man spoke up and said, Grandma, you think everyone can be on TV? He then explained that nowadays, becoming a professional hunter is very difficult, the odds are 1 in a million. Hearing that, the old woman could only sigh and hesitantly answer, is that so? It seems like times have changed a lot, it wasn't like that when I was young. After talking to the old woman, the uncle turned to look at Kim SeoJoon and said, besides, student. Looks like you're not even a cadet yet. If you're training like this because you want to become a hunter, then just give up and go, he said with a smile. This made Kim SeoJoon come in. Don't like it at all. Then he continued, don't waste your youth on something that can never happen again, making him remember the hard days working as a laborer, and then suddenly woke up at his uncle's words. Before Kim SeoJoon had time to think, the old woman argued with the uncle to protect him. How could he speak like that? This is advice that will help him in this life. Advise. After a moment of anger, Kim SeoJoon clenched his fists and firmly said, I will decide for myself what to do with my life. The uncle was very angry when he heard that and immediately roared, what, this brat? I'm so sincere. Before he could finish his sentence, Kim SeoJoon immediately refuted him, please take care of your life first. After finishing speaking, Kim SeoJoon immediately left. The uncle must have been extremely angry. He stomped his feet a few times, then looked at him and scolded him. Look how he spoke. If an adult advised him, it was because take care of him like that, he should listen. Kim SeoJoon was angry and immediately thought about what his uncle said earlier, thinking, this will never, ever happen, nonsense. I'm a cadet at the Supreme Academy. During the past week, I clearly felt how much the lectures affected me and that, at this Supreme Academy, becoming a professional hunter was completely impossible. Must be impossible. After thinking about it, Kim SeoJoon continued jogging. He firmly said, he will definitely be able to become a hunter. Elsewhere, Park Seo-eun is complaining to herself, I hate being a hunter. Then she rushed up and slashed the beast and said, what is the purpose of establishing an academy? We don't have any students, I'll be angry to death. After a while of hard work, Park Seo-eun stopped. She stood on top of the pile of monsters, sighed and said to herself, it's finally done. Kim SeoJoon lay on the bed, lost his spirit and said sullenly, I had to stay confined to the hospital for 2 weeks, even though it was small, home was still number one. Suddenly Kim SeoJoon seemed to think of something. He glanced aside and looked at the faucet dripping drop by drop and then remembered, in about a year, the hunter exam is coming. Kim SeoJoon looked at the shopping bag lying in front of Kim SeoJoon's room and wondered, how much money is left in my account? I really don't have anything. Kim SeoJoon remembered, he immediately stood up, picked up his phone to check, and spoke while he thought about it. He completed today's daily task. Looking at the phone screen, Kim SeoJoon thought, I couldn't finish it until now because I always said I'd figure it out tomorrow, but if it was today, maybe. The system displays a notification, do you want to join the next lesson? Yes, no. Chiron, who was known as the teacher of heroes, now appeared playfully winking at Kim SeoJoon and telling him, good. Looks like you finally have enough strength to start learning to crawl. Kim SeoJoon heard Chiron teasing him and only replied, I'm a baby. Chiron continued, anyway, if you've learned to crawl now, you should crawl. The next step to becoming a pseudo-superior is. Chiron was now serious, his face serious and said, feeling, the system also displayed a notification, course progress, 5.7%. Next morning. Someone was saying, what, I thought it would be some kind of major surgery, but it turned out it wasn't terrible at all. You must have a thick skin to show your face here, I tell you. If you continue to do such hateful things, it will be your fault next time. Kim SeoJoon is being lectured by his superiors, and he can only humbly nod yes, but secretly think, I have it too. I want to go somewhere, but I have no choice, I don't even have enough money to eat. After the manager finished speaking, he went off to do his own thing, leaving Kim SeoJoon still talking angrily in his heart. Looking at the fact that he still let me stay, it seems like he also blamed himself a bit. Kim SeoJoon sat in a corner of the factory with his chin in his hands, thinking. In the end, it's still a matter of money. If I don't work, I won't have enough money to eat, but if I go to make money, I won't have time to listen to lectures. If I don't complete Professor Chiron's daily tasks, I won't be able to complete a single lecture. In a mood like this, should I go review the lecture? But thinking back, I remembered what Professor Chiron said the other day, something about feelings. Kim SeoJoon remembered what Chiron said, there are 5 senses that play a decisive role in a battle, sight, sense, smell, touch, taste, we call them the five senses. Kim SeoJoon still was remembering the lectures while his colleague was standing behind, not understanding what Kim SeoJoon was doing. Kim SeoJoon continued to remember that those senses usually follow the sequence of receiving, identifying, evaluating. One stimulation at a time, but that process is incredibly slow, so why continue doing something so meaningless? So I'll teach you how to make this process as short as possible, something completely separate from your pentagon, hidden. Kim SeoJoon thought for a while as if he understood something. He thought about the price through Friday, intuitively. At this time, his colleague also teased Kim SeoJoon from behind by hitting him, not forgetting to smile happily and say, "Oh Kim SeoJoon, you have to say something now, it's been a long time, hasn't it?" This guy, but with his intuition, Kim SeoJoon dodged his friend's blow very gently. This surprised both his colleague and Kim SeoJoon. My colleague immediately wondered, "What is that? Do you have eyes in the back of your head or something? How did you dodge so well?" Cairo seemed very satisfied with Kim SeoJoon's acceptance of this. On the contrary, Kim SeoJoon was blamed for not taking his work seriously. Uncle Minchul looked at Kim SeoJoon working and couldn't help but feel pity and worriedly asked him, "Kim SeoJoon, are you sure you'll be okay? There are 3, it must be 200 kilograms, you'll get hurt like that." Kim SeoJoon replied brightly, "Yes, I'm fine, please load them up." Kim SeoJoon very confidently carried things on her shoulders and walked steadily. People watching from behind felt more worried about this boy. Uncle Minchul was still not very reassured, thinking that it must be okay for him to walk like that, next to a colleague who was telling everyone to rest for a while and then continue. Kim SeoJoon thought while transporting goods, "It's strange why I keep feeling so full of strength, while my colleagues next to me are struggling because they feel like the work gets harder the longer they do it." While working, Kim SeoJoon did not forget to do his daily tasks. He stood up and sat down with nearly 200 kilograms of goods on his back while moving and thinking, "I should at least do my daily tasks. After working, I will not, there's no time left." After exercising, Kim SeoJoon immediately took out his phone to check the results. Looking at the screen, he was shocked. The results surprised Kim SeoJoon when she stood up and sat down and counted 3 times. Kim SeoJoon understood the problem, so the heavier he carried, the more effective it became. That means, while he was still thinking, Uncle Manchul called out, "SeoJoon, you should stop and rest." Kim SeoJoon now became excited, he had found some kind of rule. Kim SeoJoon immediately said to Uncle Manchul, "Stay here and let me carry what you're carrying. It looks heavy, give it to me, you have to move this right, let me carry it for you." Kim SeoJoon very enthusiastically did it. All the hard work. He didn't feel tired. On the contrary, he thought excitedly, "Why should I spend my time doing tasks? I can do it while working. Even though my posture is a bit bananas, I just need to do it and it will count, right?" This enthusiasm made Uncle Manchul confused but could not stop Kim SeoJoon's spirit. Kim SeoJoon has now changed his position to push-ups, he thought. The heavier he is, the more he counts, which means he can both make money and save time. The perfect example of killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Kim SeoJoon continued to change from push-ups to swings. These actions made Uncle Manchul worry that he would get injured, but Kim SeoJoon didn't care too much and still focused on doing and completing the task. Coming home, lying on the soft bed, Kim SeoJoon lamented tiredly, feeling like he was about to die. Remembering what he had done today, Kim SeoJoon immediately cheered up again. But it's really effective to do tasks while working, even though it's really hard. But to be honest, how can you carry a monster? Is it okay to exercise? Kim SeoJoon jumped up to check the system. The system displays a notification that daily tasks have been completed. Run 30 kilometers, sit up and sit 1,000 times, do 300 push-ups, 150 pull-ups, and 300 sit-ups. Professor Chiron's course progress 9.1%, Professor Gautama's course progress 2.5%. Kim SeoJoon looked at the results and immediately said, "Listening to both lectures was new 10 o'clock, luckily I finished it that quickly, but I felt like I was wasting my time when I finished it that quickly. I should at least review it." But Kim SeoJoon thought again, wouldn't it be better to study another lesson? Restudying won't increase my progress at all, not a bad idea, right? Because normal lessons cost money, I should join a free course to learn for free. Kim SeoJoon scrolled through her phone to the list of free courses. The system displays a notification, "You will be able to become strong enough to move mountains." Professor Hang Vu and Kim SeoJoon were attracted by this notification. He noticed the professor's name, Hang Vu. Is this talking about Tae So Overlord Xiang Vu? Western So Overlord Xiang Yu. After appearing in the myths of the Zhou and Han dynasties, he became famous, a person with outstanding abilities. Kim SeoJoon thought while reading the information. There was a reason for taking, thanks to him, he became famous. Kim SeoJoon immediately saw, it's not bad, and because this is a free course, this lecture is free. The system displays a notification. Do you want to register for the selected course? If you register, what you will learn is a painting of spearmanship and registration. Hang Vu immediately appeared. He laughed loudly and said to Kim SeoJoon, do you want to learn how to use a teacher? The people taking this course are really just a bunch of trash who basically don't know anything, and they're trash. That half-year-old wants to learn how to use a spear. His voice was full of mockery. Even though he was mocking, Hang Vu immediately changed his attitude. He said, okay, let me teach you. You idiots don't need to be superior in anything. Just swing it for now, engrave the spear in your body and your feelings, then come back here to find me. The system also has notifications about daily tasks. After calculating the student's current level, the appropriate task will be assigned. Swing a weapon 5,000 times. Kim SeoJoon currently has the number. The execution time is 0 times. Looking at Kim SeoJoon's mission, he immediately found it quite difficult to pass. Kim SeoJoon said, he only said a few sentences and already finished his lesson. Looking at the phone screen, there is still a mission notification. Kim SeoJoon lamented, why has it turned into a daily task? The next morning at the construction site where she worked, Park SeoJoon was checking the situation. She asked the manager there, was there really any problem? The manager bowed and smiled and said, of course, thanks. According to safety management regulations, this construction site has never had an accident. Nothing will happen that is worth worrying about. When Park SeoJoon heard the accident, he sternly reminded the manager. You also know that the behemoth accident happened recently. Even though I was the one who finished checking, because I might have overlooked something, I want you to check carefully. The manager panicked and decided, yes, of course. The people working at the construction site were chatting. They said to each other, oh my god, he's about to kneel at her feet. Who is she that he's behaving like that? Kim SeoJoon saw Park SeoJoon and immediately realized, isn't she the niece of that sword star? It seems her name is Park SeoJoon, right? Sword star Park Minchul, 100 years ago, he was a false awakener who was active at that time when the gate concept was introduced, different from the current systematic understanding of false awakenings, monsters of the time. It was much more ferocious, and such monsters filled the streets, at a time when humanity's survival was far from guaranteed. Park Minchul is a pseudo-awakener who awakened in such a world, and is one of the people who rebuilt the civilization of this world. That's why he is truly the savior of this world, a hero. Time flows like water and he may be old now, but he is still a powerful force on this planet. Kim SeoJoon remembered a legend and smiled. It was thought that something would be revealed, but soon Kim SeoJoon used all his strength to complete the task. At this time he was carrying an animal twice his size on his shoulder. Park Seon-young looked at Kim SeoJoon's strange appearance and asked the manager next to him, what is that guy doing? The manager replied, don't pay attention to him, he's been like that since last week, like a crazy person. Seeing this, Park Seon-young didn't think much of it, he simply thought that Kim SeoJoon must have a problem with her mind. Seeing Uncle Minchul coming to Kim SeoJoon, he immediately said, Uncle Manchul, I'll leave the corpses here. After saying that, he immediately put down the heavy body on his body. Uncle Manchul asked Kim SeoJoon, how long do you plan to lift those things? Kim SeoJoon also honestly said, if I have started, I will do it until the end. Kim SeoJoon finally put the body down. He used his hand to wipe the sweat from his face and said with bright eyes, all of this is meaning, Manchul owner doesn't understand what it means. Starting to advise Kim SeoJoon, you will really die if you continue like this, if you bring this here then go away. Kim SeoJoon just smiled and said back, let me go and bring a few more. Uncle McHugh saw Kim SeoJoon like that and just laughed helplessly. At this moment, the monster corpse that Kim SeoJoon left behind earlier seemed to have some movement. Park Seon-young also discovered something unusual. Immediately that corpse transformed into a complete monster, the monster roared, and its eyes were bloodthirsty. Kim SeoJoon saw this and called out in panic, Uncle. Park So-young sighed tiredly. She leaned her back against a corner of the wall thinking, finally escaping, I'm really not suitable to be the principal here. How long do I have to do this? Someone passed by and glanced at Seo-yoon. Seo-yoon heard someone talking about her, is she that person, the sword's niece? Shh, she couldn't hear it, we didn't say anything wrong, so what level of hunter is she? Listening to these gossips, Seo-yoon just held back and thought, I heard everything. The others continued to say, B level, what, the granddaughter of a sword star is only at that level. Seo-yoon thought with sad eyes. Sword star is a hero respected by everyone, but for me, that name is just a title filled with weight that hangs around me, even though I have received it. Education to become a hunter from my grandfather right when I was a toddler, The wall called the Sword Star was still too high, I didn't have the ability to overcome it. For someone who is always compared to her super talented grandfather, my childhood dream was to become a teacher. SeoJoon remembered the day before, she stood behind her grandfather saying her dream of becoming a teacher. Her teacher to him, but in response, Mr. SeoJoon got irritated with her and said he didn't want to listen and told SeoJoon to stop saying such unnecessary things. SeoJoon continued, I can't have a normal life. Usually just because I'm the granddaughter of the Sword Star. Even though my compromise was for the Hunter Academy, SeoJoon remembered the days when she taught at the Hunter Academy. The male students who saw her immediately wondered, isn't that why she teaches class? They all looked at SeoJoon. With an attitude of disbelief, SeoJoon replied strongly, Mr. Swordsman has nothing to do with this, I am the instructor. The group of students heard that and immediately said, what, we have been deceived. SeoJoon still followed her emotions and continued, after the news that the Hunter Academy I founded did not have the appearance of the Sword Star, all the students lost interest and left. Those people didn't sign up because of me, but because of the Star Sword name. SeoJoon had also left the place where she had just been standing. She was still thinking as she walked, and the people who remained also quickly left as if they had been chased away by her grandfather. Because of that, they were no longer there. Who knows anything about the Hunter Academy? If only I had a suitable student. While SeoJoon was thinking about the Hunter Academy and its students, someone ran behind her. He ran and said, run quickly. There are monsters. These 3 words immediately made SeoJoon stunned and unable to believe. Outside, the monster was roaring non-stop. Uncle Man-chul was lying on the ground right under the monster's body. Kim SeoJoon stood there not knowing what to do. He gritted his teeth and thought angrily, why did the manticore we brought here suddenly wake up? Wasn't it already dead? Uncle Man-chul worriedly used all his strength to tell Kim SeoJoon, run away SeoJoon. Don't worry about the teacher, let's get out of here first. Kim SeoJoon hesitated, worried that his teacher would die but he couldn't think of what to do. Kim SeoJoon's eyes were panicked, he thought about the worst case scenario, he would definitely die, a normal person could not be stronger than a monster, even the awakened ones who could use mana were the same, that is. Not to mention the fact that Manticore is a 4-star monster, professional hunters have a hard time defeating it, so what about hunters? Kim SeoJoon now remembers the image of Park SeoJoon, currently there is only one. Hunter Park SeoJoon, no, if she wasn't here now, it would be too late, he would still die miserably. Kim SeoJoon stepped back and touched the iron bars behind him, causing them to clang against each other. Kim SeoJoon realized that someone had to act immediately. Kim SeoJoon looked at the monster getting closer and closer to Uncle Man-chul and thought, someone had to move now to save him, but who could it be? Kim SeoJoon was under so much pressure that sweat dripped down drop by drop. The monster that attacked it opened its large mouth and rushed towards its prey. Kim SeoJoon didn't think too much anymore, he picked up the iron bar. Immediately throw away the items tied to your body. Immediately after that he rushed forward. Kim SeoJoon stood in front of Uncle Man-chul. He told Uncle Man-chul, teacher, run away quickly. Uncle Man-chul stood up, looked at Kim SeoJoon worriedly and asked, I will too, but before I could finish, Kim SeoJoon interrupted, we will get through it, teacher, hurry up. Holding the iron bar in his hand, Kim SeoJoon trembled and thought, I'm the only one here, I have to hold out until the professional hunters get here. Little Kim SeoJoon was now like a hero facing a giant monster. He encouraged himself, damn, don't tremble in fear, there's a voice from somewhere right now, move, you are a universe. Kim SeoJoon awakened, that voice continued to say, as I observe the world, finding its origin and essence. Kim SeoJoon realized these were the words of Shakyamuni Buddha. The monster was still looking at Kim SeoJoon and growling. That voice still rang out, from now on, hold on to the weapon and think about where it will go, calm down your emotions, the monster has moved, it jumped step by step and rushed towards Kim SeoJoon. Kim SeoJoon was calm, he stood there majestically and thought, his fear and trembling heart gradually calmed down, thinking that Kim SeoJoon had also taken action, he firmly held the iron bar and walked towards the monster. The two of them faced each other. Kim SeoJoon thought of a plan, if I move after thinking about my own reaction it will be late. I have to act according to my feelings. The monster's claws lightly brushed Kim SeoJoon's neck. But Kim SeoJoon's reflexes were one step faster, he was able to fly backwards. The monster did not give up, it continued to attack. Kim SeoJoon also responded, he thought, before he reacted. Just let it feel. Kim SeoJoon continuously dodged the monster's attacks, making it angry and roar loudly. Kim SeoJoon flew up to avoid the attack and discovered the monster's weak point. He wondered if he should attack or not, but what should he do? Kim SeoJoon remembered what Hang Vu taught in the lesson, Pulling mountains doesn't only require strength, you have to rely on the motivation of your courage. Correct. Believe that my blow can split those mountains in two, don't doubt it for a moment. Kim SeoJoon firmly held the iron bar high with both hands to gain momentum. Kim SeoJoon's eyes were filled with energy and he was confident that he could split it in half. Looking down at the monster below, Kim SeoJoon became even more determined. No, I had to do that, I had to cut the monster in half. Kim SeoJoon aimed at the right monster. He said to himself, this is the power to uproot mountains. Kim SeoJoon concentrated his strength. The iron bar he brought down aimed at the monster's center and fell all the way down. A loud noise rang out. Everyone was running away when they saw such a loud noise and turned to look. Park SeoJoon also ran over and asked in panic, what's going on? What was that noise just now? Park SeoJoon ran to the place where the commotion occurred. Just saw Kim SeoJoon standing in the middle of a pile of smelly sand and dust, still holding the iron bar tightly. Behind him was a monster being cut in half. It seems Kim SeoJoon still can't believe what just happened and what he just did. Kim SeoJoon returned to his bewildered state again. He smiled foolishly, raised his hand and broke his head, wondering, oh, is it effective? At this time, the system notification also appeared. The progress of Chiron's lecture was plus 10%, currently 21.5%. The progress of Shakyamuni Buddha's lecture plus 2.6%, currently is 5.1%. The progress of Hang Vu's lecture plus 13%, is 19.7%. Park SeoJoon looked at the scene before her eyes. She couldn't believe her eyes and thought, what the hell happened here? A person who moved a body, who wasn't even a hunter, didn't even have any decent weapons, how could he do this with just a steel pipe? Could he catch a monster like that? Okay. Kim SeoJoon was bewildered for a while and finally remembered something. He worriedly ran towards Uncle Manchul. Seeing Uncle Manchul, Kim SeoJoon immediately asked, are you okay? Are you injured anywhere? Uncle Manchul is okay, but looking at what just happened made him unbelievable. Manchul asked Kim SeoJoon, this is SeoJoon to be. Kim SeoJoon replied, I know how hard you normally practice, but instead you might have been injured, so let's go to the hospital first. Park SeoJoon stood aside, observing Kim SeoJoon thoughtfully. The manager now ran over to explain to her, oh my gosh, we have checked but there must have been a small mistake, but it seems SeoJoon without paying much attention. Perhaps the thing that interests her the most right now is Kim SeoJoon. Kim SeoJoon here is flooded with everyone's attention and admiration. SeoJoon observed for a while and finally thought to confirm that she had found him. Suitable cadet. The evening has come, everyone is saying goodbye to each other to go home. The manager's voice reminds them that everyone is not allowed to talk nonsense about what happened today. Kim SeoJoon was also ready to go home. He picked up his phone and saw something. That was the result of Kim SeoJoon's progress in studying the lectures. Looking at this result, Kim SeoJoon was quite surprised and said, the rate of lecture progress increased that much. Listening to the lectures over and over again has no age compared to it always. Maybe it's because I caught the manticore, like whether it's 100 or not depends on how familiar I am or something. In other words, the best way to increase the lecture progress rate is to use what you learned in the lecture in real battle. The problem is, if I can't join the Hunter Academy and get a provisional degree, then I can't go dungeon raiding. The Transcendence Academy isn't a Hunter Academy, so I can't get help in this area. Do I have to gather money and apply to a Hunter Academy? Kim SeoJoon scratched his head as he walked, thinking about joining the Hunter Academy. SeoJoon was also following behind him, seems to have something to say. SeoJoon spoke up, feeling sorry. Can you take some time to talk to me? Kim SeoJoon recognized SeoJoon and thought to himself, this person is the hunter who asked for today's job, right? Is she called the niece of the Sword Star? Kim SeoJoon remembered and wondered why a person like that wanted to talk to her. That's what she thought, but Kim SeoJoon still politely said, yes, please say it. SeoJoon didn't beat around the bush and told her directly. Kim SeoJoon, I'll get straight to the point. SeoJoon seriously said, will you come with me to meet my grandfather? This question surprised passers-by. Kim SeoJoon seemed uninterested in this Sword Star's niece's invitation. He nonchalantly replied, I don't want it. This refusal of Kim SeoJoon surprised the person accompanying SeoJoon because he did not believe that someone would refuse to meet the Sword Star, ignoring the two people standing there. Kim SeoJoon coldly continued to go home but did not forget to tell SeoJoon. And the person accompanying me is going here. There was still a voice calling from behind, but Kim SeoJoon didn't pay attention. He thought to himself, let's go home and listen to the lecture. SeoJoon didn't give up. She continued, I'm Park SeoJoon, 31 years old. I'm going through something I've never experienced in my 31 years of life, so I'm a bit confused. Kim SeoJoon didn't let SeoJoon finish talking and immediately interrupted, saying that you want me to join your Hunter Academy, which has no cadets and is basically only registered as an academy on paper. SeoJoon unexpectedly, Kim SeoJoon could correctly guess his purpose, so he coughed a few times and thought, what exactly is this person? He did some strange exercises, and even in a severely weakened state, only capable of fighting a 2-star monster, he was able to cut a 4-star manticore in half. Why? He's clearly trying to become a hunter. SeoJoon immediately explained, however, we have everything you could possibly need, good equipment and facilities, and even though we don't have a guide, I can. SeoJoon hasn't spoken yet. At the end of his sentence, Kim SeoJoon interrupted, I didn't want to, after all I didn't need guidance from a hunter student. SeoJoon heard this as if her pride was touched, she lost patience and gritted her teeth. Even though she was angry, SeoJoon still continued, so what if my grandfather, the sword spirit, came to teach you? Kim SeoJoon would be moved by this condition. But in the end he replied, it had nothing to do with it. Unexpectedly, SeoJoon thought to herself, he even refused the offer to learn from sword spirits, something all professional hunters wanted, or I can't let him go like that. SeoJoon did not give up, she continued asking Kim SeoJoon, writing contest, what will you do with the writing contest? Kim SeoJoon still replied in that cold tone, only then can I solve it myself. SeoJoon still followed Kim SeoJoon and asked, how will you participate in the sweeps? From what I saw today, you should be able to join the sweeps immediately. You know you can't join the sweeps unless since you're affiliated with a Hunter Academy. Isn't it such a waste? Kim SeoJoon asked SeoJoon in return, wouldn't it be the same if I entered your academy? Only students who have been authorized by the government can distribute new degrees temporarily. SeoJoon is really unusual. Always with Kim SeoJoon, she affirmed, we have received that authorization. If you join our academy, we will help you start playing copies immediately. Kim SeoJoon was affected. SeoJoon noticed that Kim SeoJoon had slowed down and realized that this was the right opportunity to boost Kim SeoJoon's mentality. SeoJoon continued, and he declared that he didn't need a Hunter Academy to teach him, right? Okay, we won't get involved in that. We will provide a separate location for you to practice and we will not ask for any fees, including tuition fees. Having said this, SeoJoon had to make a huge determination to recruit Kim SeoJoon. Kim SeoJoon returned to talk to SeoJoon. He asked SeoJoon, are you just asking for a connection? If there is a reward, then there is also a responsibility. To be able to enjoy those rewards, I will have to do the following. What can I do for Miss SeoJoon? SeoJoon made it clear to Kim SeoJoon, before passing the professional hunter exams, please participate in many competitions under our academy's name, and wherever you go, let others know that you are participating in the studies. Our institute. Kim SeoJoon thought about these offers, honestly this is an attractive offer, I can solve all my worries at once, and the things I have to do are not much compared to the remuneration she received, but, Kim SeoJoon was quite wondering why SeoJoon offered all the benefits so easily to him. Kim SeoJoon asked SeoJoon, why did you go to this extent to force me to join? Yes. Facing Kim SeoJoon, SeoJoon also comfortably answered this question, she said, because I see his potential. SeoJoon's eyes were very determined. Kim SeoJoon looked at it for a while then smiled and thought, not bad, a relationship of mutual exploitation. Kim SeoJoon extended his hand to ask for cooperation. He introduced himself, I'm Kim SeoJoon. SeoJoon also happily responded and introduced herself, I am Park SeoJoon, and the two of them shook hands to officially mark the collaboration. The next day, the phone rang. It was Kim SeoJoon's phone. He picked up the phone and heard Uncle Manchol calling. Uncle Manchol asked Kim SeoJoon repeatedly, why did you do that, SeoJoon? What the hell did you do yesterday? Today you suddenly changed the team leader. After construction, Kim SeoJoon didn't know how to explain. Kim SeoJoon remembered his conversation with SeoJoon yesterday about the team leader. He didn't expect that he would be fired so quickly. Kim SeoJoon lied and said to Uncle Manchol, what can I do? I'm sure I resigned because of responsibility for the accident. Uncle Manchol still didn't seem to believe that, so he asked again, a wretched person like Kim Tae-soo would resign because of something like this. Even dogs would find it funny, but immediately after that, Uncle Manchol immediately changed his attitude and seemed to be very happy, continuing, well that guy isn't hanging around here anymore, that's great, everyone seems to be enjoying this a lot. Kim SeoJoon was talking to Uncle Manchol while moving. On the phone, Uncle Manchol kept asking Kim SeoJoon, more importantly, are you on your way there, to the Hunter Academy? Kim SeoJoon had indeed arrived at the Hunter Academy. He was standing under the academy building. SeoJoon was also here to welcome him. Seeing Kim SeoJoon, SeoJoon happily waved at him. SeoJoon gave Kim SeoJoon a card and said, "This is Mr. SeoJoon's temporary certificate. It was just issued yesterday." Kim SeoJoon took the card and thanked SeoJoon again. Holding the diploma in her hand, Kim SeoJoon thought to herself, "I'm still a little skeptical, but they really gave me the diploma." Although I have not yet become a professional hunter, Kim SeoJoon couldn't help but feel excited when looking at the diploma in her hand. This is the feeling of taking the first step on the journey to reaching my dream. This is just the beginning. Kim SeoJoon was full of energy and asked SeoJoon, "Can you teach me the method to clear the dungeon?" SeoJoon said, "No need." Kim SeoJoon didn't understand what SeoJoon meant, so she was still quite confused. SeoJoon led Kim SeoJoon to the weapon selection area. She said, "First choose a training weapon that you feel comfortable with among the ones we have prepared. After choosing you can go immediately." SeoJoon just said that and smiled. It turns out SeoJoon had her own plans. I had already booked a stage, because I thought she would need it. There is something behind the forbidden area waiting for Kim SeoJoon. Is a monster. Kim SeoJoon saw SeoJoon following him to the entrance of the dungeon and wondered, why did she follow me into the dungeon? Didn't we agree not to interfere in each other's affairs? SeoJoon just smiled and said again, "I won't follow you. You're the only cadet in our academy. How can we ignore you? Don't worry." Thinking of it like it was a special buy one get one free only for the future hopes of the academy, Kim SeoJoon found it interesting. SeoJoon explained to Kim SeoJoon about the dungeon. "This is your first time clearing a dungeon, right? Just think of me as some kind of safety device. Although this dungeon only has a few kobolds like the one you just captured, you still can't be distracted." Kim SeoJoon walked and listened to SeoJoon while thinking, "Kobolds are 2-star monsters. This is the perfect place for an inexperienced person like me to experiment with this and that." Luckily, just like the fight with Manticore, the protective mana layer was easily penetrated. Originally, it was normal to attack without using mana to redirect the transparent barrier. While thinking, Kim SeoJoon suddenly felt something. His eyes became alert. SeoJoon shouted, "It was dangerous." It was a monster that attacked Kim SeoJoon from behind, but he dodged. As soon as he dodged the attack, Kim SeoJoon felt strange. He thought, the attacks of someone like him who couldn't use mana were effective. Kim SeoJoon used an iron rod to attack the monster one shot at a time without missing a single one. Kim SeoJoon felt that the progress rate of the lectures he studied was increasing. Kim SeoJoon was excited. He thought, even though it didn't grow as incredibly fast as with the Manticore yesterday, if it had grown this much with just 2 kobolds it would still be worth it. Furthermore, I can earn money by clearing dungeons. Kim SeoJoon turned around and smiled mischievously and said to SeoJoon, "I'll speed up a bit." SeoJoon was also a bit suspicious but didn't say anything. Kim SeoJoon made this dungeon raid look like gaining experience in the game. He rushed into the monsters and was filled with enthusiasm to destroy them. SeoJoon thought to herself, "Mr. Sehun, from the beginning I knew that he was a strange person, but his level of madness was beyond imagination." SeoJoon was outside observing Kim SeoJoon, her face black, wondering what that kid was doing. So scary. Inside, Kim SeoJoon was holding her phone and reading the system's information while reading and giving instructions to herself. "Dear, you must absolutely stay away from Hydra's poison, I see." SeoJoon analyzed Kim SeoJoon since returning from the dungeon. Just returning from the dungeon raid, he started staring at the dark screen with nothing. He stared at the screen. How many hours has it been since the black image? The bigger problem is that the singularities don't stop there. A cadet who had never been properly trained, on his first dungeon sweep, was able to slaughter kobolds like a hunter who had been training for 10 years. He was doing some weird exercise while moving the bodies, something he could have solved by calling a body removal service, but he wanted to save money. SeoJoon had another headache. When she couldn't hide the fact that she had a new cadet from her grandfather, but didn't know how to tell him about it, SeoJoon on one side was having a headache while Kim SeoJoon on the other hand was only paying attention to the system. System on his phone, Kim SeoJoon exclaimed, "It's already past midnight, I still haven't heard all the lectures." SeoJoon was now helplessly exclaiming, "Is he Cinderella or something? I don't know. Really make the right choice?" Kim SeoJoon's face was happy and satisfied. Looking at the account notification and seeing the amount of money I received, I couldn't believe it. Yet I earned this much money in one day. I moved and destroyed my body myself. It's all true, it's not in vain. That's what I tried. Kim SeoJoon was on his way back, analyzing the problem as he walked. The big problem was that this took too much time and energy, and in the end I couldn't finish all of yesterday's lectures. Kim SeoJoon stood waiting for the green light to cross the street. He thought about Manchul and immediately came up with an idea. Can I ask Uncle Manchul to do it for me instead? If it's him, I can trust him, and I also want to keep it. Contact me too. Besides, it's not too bad for you to set up your own moving service. The traffic light has turned green and pedestrians can now walk. Kim SeoJoon plans to contact Uncle Man-chul when he has time. Just across the street, Kim SeoJoon thought about the money he had earned. What should he do with the nearly $10,000 he just earned? Saving is good, but I want to use it more intelligently. The dungeon raid helped me earn money and increase my lecture progress, but it didn't increase as fast as I thought. When I pinned down the last kobold, it didn't even increase at all. Is there any other method to get stronger faster, to be as strong as the great Kwaishan Saint Sun Wukong? Thinking of this name, Kim SeoJoon suddenly said loudly, "That's right, Tun Ngo Kong," making passers-by startled. Kim SeoJoon immediately linked the data. The lecture I can consider top-notch. Before I couldn't even think about participating in it because I didn't have money, but if I do now, I don't think much of it. Kim SeoJoon immediately opened the system to the lecture. The system displayed a notification, outline of walking sticks and spear techniques, clones, hilts, noses, trainer of great sage Qi Tian. Will you register for the course? If you register, sign up, you will study the DGP of the great saint. Reading these notices, Kim SeoJoon could not hide the excitement on his face. He immediately pressed register without thinking. The system displays a notification that the registration fee is 27 million. Look at the numbers on the screen. Kim SeoJoon shouted loudly, 27 million stars. He collapsed and sat down in the middle of the street silently cursing, "Those damn capitalists, that number is beyond imagination. Is that why the ultimate practitioner? I think even after becoming a hunter professionally, I can't pay this price." Passers-by who saw Kim SeoJoon sitting in a heap in the middle of the street were curious about what Kim SeoJoon was doing.